Guys, the fourth round of the FIDE World Chess Championship is finally over. And you know what? We had a very lovely game. So Ding Lijian had the white pieces, Gukesh with black pieces. Ding started with knight to f3. Usually what we see is e4, d4 or maybe some sort of c4. But we had knight f3 today. Gukesh replied with pawn d5, e3, knight f6. And can you imagine what Ding played in this position? I think you'd consider maybe a move like d4, maybe like a move like c4, but he played pawn to b3. And टिपिकल निम्जो लाजन टाइप के पोजीशंस वगैरह जैसे देखने को मिलते हैं वैसा टाइप का सेटअप खेला. Gukesh played bishop f5, pretty logical move, developing your light square bishop to the f square. And you would imagine Ding would play something like bishop b2, flanching his bishop to this lovely diagonal. But he played bishop to e2, then he played bishop to a3. And ye move, the idea behind this move is to, whenever black plays something like move like e6, you take on f8. So that is why Gukesh played knight bd7, Ding castled, then he played e6, he took on f8, knight takes f8, and c4. Then Gukesh ne kya kiya? He just went back to d7. Ding developed his knight on c3, castles, he took on d5, and fairly a very calm positions dekhne ko mili out of the opening. We see b4 stopping some sort of pawn c5 ideas, advancing on the queen side, or maybe knight c5 plans. So Gukesh ne khela c6, then we see knight to e4, and yahan pe a move like h6 really makes sense. Even if the bishop is being traded, you don't really want to control that d5 square, but whenever we see knight to d4, we can simply bishop h7. So you have a nice square for your light square bishop. Queen b3, knight to e5, a4, getting some space on the queen side, and yahan pe rook c8. So we see a5 controlling the b6 square, and Gukesh ne yahan pe break kiya with pawn b6. So we see knight f3, just going back, trading this strong knight black ka on e5. So we see knight f3, bishop f3, and d4, and that's a lovely move. It is basically asking questions and clarifying some of the problems we have in the center. So knight back to e2, he took on e3, d takes e3, and यहाँ पे bishop e4. And you know what? I believe Gukesh का यहाँ पे mindset कुछ ऐसा होगा कि first of all, in the first round he lost, second round he had a lovely draw, third round he won, and now he has the black pieces. So if he just exchange all the pieces and he gets a lovely draw once again, that is just amazing. So we see rook f to d1, queen e7, he took on e4, knight takes e4, and a take b6, a b6, knight to c3, rook d8, knight takes e4, queen e4, and यहाँ पे सारे pieces वगैरह trade होने को देखते हुए मिले हैं. And this is a major pieces endgame. When we say major piece endgame, that is basically when you have rooks and queens in the endgame. So we see exchange of one pair of rooks, rook d8, takes on c5, takes on c5, and rook to c1. Now, अब यहाँ पे कुछ tricky plans वगैरह है. Let's say if you want to trade more pieces in the position, let's say if you play something like queen c3, that's actually blunder because of the deflection sacrifice. Rook to d1, rook takes d1, and you can't really go over here. So that's why you lose your queen, and if you give a check, king would go to here, king at 7. So he played queen c2, putting an eye on this pawn. We see rook d5, now g3, creating some love for the king so that, you know, you can play queen c3 trade in the future, and that is not really a deflection sacrifice. So we see f5 controlling e4 square, king g2, king gets 7, rook, queen c4, queen goes back to d6, e4 now, rook e5, takes on f5, rook f5, queen here, pinning the rook. Now, again, counter pin, tum ye nahi maar sakte because this is pinned on g2. Queen takes d5, rook takes d5, and honestly, this is a position where we have 3 on 2, and there is a passer. But तुम passer को आगे ले जा नहीं सकते because you have a lovely rook on c1, which is controlling the file. And king f3 पे आता है, king g6 पे जाता है, king इधर आता है attacking the rook. We see a check, king goes back to e3, rook goes back defending the pawn, king goes up, Then once again a check. King goes back to e3. You defend the pawn. And here we see a threefold repetition, and that's a draw. Okay. So my thoughts on the game, I already mentioned that I think Gukesh making a draw with the black pieces, it's a great result. Honestly, Ding के point of view से अगर मैं बोलूँ तो he should have tried to create more chances, but what can you expect? Like, you played this line with b3, e3, knight f3, bishop a3. I mean, that's a good try, but pieces were exchanged होते हुए देखने को मिले, and that eventually led to a draw. So also, do let me know your thoughts about the game and predictions in the comment. And yeah, I would see you guys in another recap video. Kal bhi game hai. Gukesh has the white pieces. Maybe he would try to press and get that lead. So that's it for today. I hope to see you in another one. Tab tak ke liye, bye bye. Peace.